Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Oldham County Fiscal Court. I'm David Vogel, Judge Executive. Happy to have you here today for our meeting. And if you're able, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'll ask our clerk, Tara Long, to please call the roll.
Magistrate Likens.
Here.
Magistrate Tice.
Here.
Magistrate Woosley.
Here.
Magistrate Jeffries.
Here.
Magistrate Hounds.
Here.
Magistrate Hawkins.
Here.
Magistrate Dye.
Present.
Magistrate Logston. Here. Judge Vogel.
Here. Having all members of the fiscal court present, this meeting is now in session. Is there a motion to accept the agenda?
So moved. Second.
Are there any additions or deletions? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We have two sets of minutes to read at this meeting. The first was from August 15th, and then we had a special meeting on August 28th. So we'll begin with August 15th.
August 15th, 2023. The Oldham County Fiscal Court convened at 2:04 p.m. with Judge Executive David Vogel, County Attorney Barry Baxter, and the following magistrates in attendance: Likens, Tice, Woosley, Jeffries, Hounds, Hawkins, Dye, and Logston. Motion made by Magistrate Hounds and seconded by Magistrate Dye to approve the agenda. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Jeffries and seconded by Magistrate Woosley to approve the minutes of August 1st. Motion carried unanimously. Sheriff Wakefield inquired if anyone had any questions about the July Sheriff's Activity Report or the year-to-date Sheriff's Activity Report. Ballardsville Fire Chief Stephen Fonte presented information related to the fiscal year 23-24 budget and ad valorem tax rates, which will stay at the same rate of 10 cents per $100 value on real and personal property, at 10 cents per $100 value on motor vehicles and watercraft. Discussion followed. Oldham County Public Health Director Matt Rhodes presented information related to the fiscal year 23-24 budget and the ad valorem tax rates, which will stay at the same rate of 2.5 cents per $100 value on real property, 2.5 cents per $100 value on personal property, and 2.5 cents per $100 value on motor vehicles. Discussion followed. Oldham County Public Library Director Julie Wilson presented information related to fiscal year 23-24 budget and the ad valorem tax rates. Real property will be taxed at 4 cents per $100 value. Personal property will be taxed 8.14 cents per $100 value, and motor vehicles will be taxed 2 cents per $100 value. Real and personal property tax rates decreased since fiscal year 22-23, while the motor vehicle tax rate remained the same. Discussion followed. Motion made by Magistrate Woosley and seconded by Magistrate Hounds to approve the payment of payables as submitted. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Woosley and seconded by Magistrate Hounds to approve the items for surplus as presented. Discussion followed. Motion carried unanimously. Amy Alvey, County Clerk, presented for a first reading ordinance KOC 23-200-372 relating to the establishment of magisterial district boundaries in Oldham County. The second reading and public hearing is scheduled for August 28th. Motion made by Magistrate Jeffries and seconded by Magistrate Hawkins to hold a special meeting of Fiscal Court on August 28, 2023 at 9 a.m. Discussion followed. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Woosley and seconded by Magistrate Tice to approve the change order to remediate the damaged electrical as submitted. Discussion followed. Motion made by Judge Vogel to table the change order. Motion failed due to lack of second. The original motion carried 5-4 on a roll call vote. Magistrates Logston, Dye, Hawkins, and Likens voted no. LG&E Animal Control Easements. Motion made by Magistrate Woosley and seconded by Magistrate Hounds to authorize Judge Vogel to sign the deed of easement as submitted. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Jeffries and seconded by Magistrate Hawkins to authorize Judge Vogel to sign the Federal Fiscal Year 2020 and Federal Fiscal Year 2022 Curry's Fork Watershed Grant MOU with Oldham County Soil and Water Conservation District as submitted. Discussion followed. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Likens and seconded by Magistrate Hounds to hire Ethan Southard and Don Gosney as 5-year lateral at $32.70 base hourly rate effective August 28th, and to hire Josh Myers as a school resource officer at $32.70 base hourly rate effective August 17th. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Jeffries and seconded by Magistrate Hawkins to reappoint Will Douglas to the Stormwater Management Board with a term to expire September 1st, 2027. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Jeffries and seconded by Magistrate Hawkins to reappoint Bob Klingenfuss to the Planning and Zoning Commission with a term to expire September 4th, 2027. Motion carried unanimously. There's no public comment. Motion made by Judge Vogel and seconded by Magistrate Hounds to enter closed session pursuant KRS 61-810B, deliberations on the future acquisition or sale of real property by a public agency with the addition of the following people: County Attorney Barry Baxter, Deputy Judge Kevin Nuss, and CFO Stan Clark. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Dye and seconded by Magistrate Hounds to come out of closed session. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Hounds and seconded by Magistrate Hawkins to adjourn the meeting. Motion carried unanimously, and the meeting was adjourned at 4:34 p.m.
You've heard the reading of our minutes from August 15th. Is there a motion to accept?
So moved. Second.
Are there any corrections? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
August 28th, 2023, the Oldham County Fiscal Court convened for a special meeting at 9:08 a.m., with Judge Executive David Vogel, County Attorney Barry Baxter, and the following magistrates in attendance: Likens, Tice, Woosley, Jeffries, Hounds, Hawkins, Dye, and Logston. Motion made by Magistrate Dye and seconded by Magistrate Hawkins to approve the agenda. Motion carried unanimously. Amy Alvey, County Clerk, presented for a second reading and public hearing ordinance KOC 23-200-372, establishing magisterial districts in Oldham County. Judge Vogel opened the floor to public comment. There being none, the public hearing was closed. Discussion followed. Motion made by Magistrate Jeffries and seconded by Magistrate Hawkins to adopt ordinance KOC 23-200-372, an ordinance relating to the establishment of magisterial districts in Oldham County. Discussion followed. Motion carried 8-1. Magistrate Logston voted no. Motion made by Magistrate Dye and seconded by Magistrate Hounds to adjourn the meeting. Motion carried unanimously, and the meeting adjourned at 9:26 a.m.
You've heard the reading of our minutes from August 28th. Is there a motion to accept?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Time now for public comment. That's the time during our meeting when anyone who would like to address the fiscal court about a community issue is able to do so. Is there anyone here who would like to address the court at this point? Seeing no one, we'll close the public comment and go on to the first item on our agenda. And that is a presentation by the South Oldham Fire Protection District of its budget and tax. For the year ending June 30th, 2024, I believe former Chief Eddie is here. Come forward, Eddie, and we'll be happy to have you. And Mayor Dybel, or the Mayor Dennis Dybel. And
Good afternoon, Judge and Magistrates. My pleasure to be here
Dennis,
representing South
hey Dennis,
Oldham
can you
Fire
talk more into that microphone right there? Yeah.
How about that?
All right.
Is that
Well,
better?
you can
Okay.
move the mic. Doesn't have to move yourself.
It's our pleasure to be here. With me today is our retired chief, Eddie Turner, and new chief is Bill Blakely, and with him is Major Nelson, Matt Nelson. South Oldham is, the state of the department is strong. Myself, I've been with South Oldham now 62 years. They do give me a 20% pay raise every year, so I'm making pretty good money now. So, but Eddie is our retired chief, and he's also the treasurer of the district. And I'd like to turn it over to him, and if you've got questions or if there's anything he needs to discuss, why, we'll take it from there.
Right. Now, we know everybody heard 62 years. That's we're not challenging that because we know that's true. You know, but that's a remarkable record.
Good afternoon, Judge, Fiscal Court. I hope y'all got a copy of our estimate budget I sent to Department of Local Government. We're estimated $2,464,600. As you know, we work off of 2 boards. When I get done, I'll let Bill and Matt discuss the incorporations, what they expect to happen. Other than our expenses, all our money goes to the corporation board. Only expenses that we have, district has, for attorney fees and legal notices. So, anybody got any questions? Free to ask.
So what you have presented us here with is the corporation budget and expenses, is that correct?
The district, yeah, it's what I expect from the district. Money for the district. Then that money goes to the corporation board.
Okay, but I mean, these sheets we have here have quite a bit of detail in them.
That's their part. They'll discuss that.
Okay, so, all right, so that,
But then,
We contract, and it was set up this way by my predecessors, that the department operates under South Oldham, Inc. as a 24-member board. We have a wide range of board members from engineer, architects, we've had a county judge, we've had magistrates on the board, business owners, management people, and the contract states that the district will provide, or that the incorporated department will provide the services for the amount of monies that the district takes in. So, and our tax rate has been 9.5 cents due to some added expense that we're going to have coming up. We did take the max and go to 10 cents for this year, 2023. I think we're the only department that is fully staffed with full-time people 24/7, 365 days a year. And the chief will tell you we've got a new ladder truck that's on order that's going to take a couple years to get here. We're proud to say we have no debt. Everything's paid for, and if all goes well, we should be able to take care of this new vehicle without borrowing any money. So, Chief and Matt, I'll let you all take it.
Good afternoon, Judge and Fiscal Court. In front of you have the detailed budget of South Oldham Fire Department, Inc., with the expected disbursements of $2.558 million for this coming fiscal year. As Chairman Dybel said, that we have a new ladder truck on order. It's expected wait time of 3 years, and the cost was $2.2 million. And we have that due to our growing district. As you know, we have commercial coming at exit 14 along with the hospital, and the expected ancillary buildings and development to go with that. So we're planning for the future, have that on the way. The following pages of the budget are the detailed disbursements for each budget category that we have listed out, and if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer those for you.
anybody have any questions for Major Nelson? Magistrate Jeffries?
That's okay. Just one question. On your payroll, how many employees do you all employ there at the firehouse?
We have 14 full-time career employees and approximately 8 part-time employees that are PRN or fill-in as needed. Then we also supplement that with our volunteer staffing, and they're able to fill positions on our staffed unit, and we give them a reimbursement for that.
Okay. Thank you.
That reimbursement for those is paid out quarterly, every 3 months.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, well, I'm glad you brought this up today, because I think it would need some, let's say, clarification, at least in my mind. Is South Oldham Incorporated, is this what is the legal status of South Oldham Incorporated?
We are Chapter 273.
What does that mean, Chapter 273? Is it the,
The Incorporated Board is found underneath KRS Chapter 273, as whereas the Taxing District Board is founded underneath KRS Chapter 75.
okay. So that, as I understand this, that this, there's two agencies here, a public, this is not a public agency, is it, or are you a public agency incorporated?
Underneath Chapter 273, I'd have to go back and read the statute. I can't be that specific with you right now. I know that on our website, we do field this question often, and that information is published there with the board members, the structure of each board, and the Kentucky Revised Statute that each board is founded
Okay.
under.
Well, we appoint members, the fiscal court appoints members to the Oldham County, South Oldham Fire Department Board. As I understand it, the board basically turns over, is it all or most of the money that's collected each year to South Oldham Incorporated to operate the fire department?
Yes, as Treasurer Turner said, that all of the money collected by the Fire Protection District, minus its operating fees, so there are some legal fees and advertising fees for elections that have to be paid out. All that money is turned over per contract to the South Oldham Fire Department Incorporated Board.
Now, one time I did ask about, why are there two groups at South Oldham? The other departments in the county don't have a structure like this. I believe the answer I got was that initially when this was done, it was to spread the, let's say, support for the fire district, fire service, much further through the community and let more people in the area have an opportunity to express, how the department should be run. Would that
Yes, it
still
does.
be the case?
It does allow for broader representation of the
Okay,
taxing
so,
district.
who, when you're buying this equipment, is this public equipment, is this equipment owned by the public or is it owned by some other entity? If you're going to say, who owns this?
So, for example, the new ladder truck that we have ordered, that's ordered under contract, and when it's delivered, we'll owe the amount due in full. And with our past apparatus purchases, that has been purchased by the Chapter 75 board, the district board. And they are also able to get any loans if needed to carry out the terms of those loans and pay off. And then once the vehicle is cleared, it is typically transferred over to the incorporated board.
Okay, well, when you say it's transferred over to the incorporated board, is that still a publicly owned piece of equipment or is it owned by some private entity?
We treat it as it's public. Again, I'll have to read Chapter 273 to refresh my memory, but as with our financials, with the corporate board, they're all open to the public, so are our meeting minutes, so we still hold ourselves to the same standard as Chapter 75 to be transparent and forthcoming with that information.
Okay, well, I'm impressed by the details. This is the first time I think we've ever, that I've been here, had this much detail come forward from any district, actually, as to how funds are spent that are collected and how they're spent. I'm just, curious, and the questions come to me because, I've appointed people to the board of the South Oldham Fire District who feel that they don't have too much influence once they get on the board. They don't do anything or whatever. So, if South Oldham Incorporated were dissolved, would all of this equipment, expense, everything revert back to the fire department?
I don't think it would revert so much as if you were to do that, it would have to be transferred to some agency or entity. So I don't think revert is a correct term for that, but it would have to be given back to some agency or entity there.
I'm not aware of how that other fire service law works. I guess it was created by the legislature at some point to be able to do this. So, but it does, as long as there's public scrutiny of these expenses, and I believe there would be with you have 25 members on that, 24 members on the South Oldham Incorporated board. So, and that was a way when it began to get support for the fire department. The mayor said he'd been there 63 years, was it? 62. I know I was just about 5 years old when you came on that fire department. Appreciate everything you've done. Is there still, this was a need in the beginning and it's continued on and the department's very successful. I mean, is it still a need for it today? Would you say?
Appears to be so at this time, and our leadership at the board feels that way as well. And if anybody has any questions, or if you field any more questions about it, our meetings are on the fourth Monday night of every month at 7:30 p.m., located at 6310 Old Grange Road at our Station 1. And the public is always welcome to attend. And as you see here, we've are being as transparent as possible with money, staffing. All of our board members and contacts for both the district and corporate board are listed on our website. Their information, their contact information is there as well. So we're always here to answer any questions that you may have year-round.
Right. Well, as I say, I'm impressed by the amount of detail that's been provided by South Oldham Incorporated and in regard to the cost of operating the fire department. There's a lot of information in here, and I know every one of these line items has more detail to it. So I do appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
Does anybody else have anything they'd like to ask? Go ahead.
Under health insurance, it's gone up 60,000. How come? Why do you think that is?
Well, it's gone up because now we have started covering our, previously, last budget year, we covered health insurance for our employees only, and that was medical insurance only. It did not cover dental or vision. And over the past few years, we have had a lot of turnover with employees coming in. We would hire them and train them. They would look very attractive as a hire for another department, usually in Jefferson County, and they would get picked up and hired and would transfer out. So for employee retention, we've had to increase our benefits. And so now we cover health insurance, both medical, dental, and vision for the employee and their family.
Could we do that for everyone in the county? Every county employee?
Well, I'm not sure. Each agency stands on its own bottom, so to speak. Every kettle stands on its own bottom, so it depends on your cash flow.
But it wasn't just a retention issue, it was also a recruitment issue as well to get applicants in the door. So we had to do something to keep them. And while we can't match the pay of some of our neighboring departments across the county line, we can sure try and compensate for that in some benefits package that we offer.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Anybody else have anything? All right. All right. Is that everything, fellas? All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate you coming.
Thank you.
All right. The next item on our agenda today is a report on the Oldham County Sports Initiative. David Bazanis from the Chamber of Commerce is here to report on that.
Good afternoon, Judge Vogel, magistrates. I'm going to pull this up here. I need a password. Oh, right in front of my face. Okay, sorry. Case sensitive. What? All right. Good afternoon. My name is David Bazanis. I'm with the Oldham Chamber and Economic Development Office, and I'm happy to be here today to have an opportunity to report on what has been a pretty long process to consider whether or not the feasibility of building some sort of a sports complex in Oldham County to benefit of the citizens, benefit of tourism, would be an initiative worth pursuing. And so today I am here to give you some of the details of the findings from the first phase of a feasibility study that we have received within the last few weeks. I guess last few months. We hadn't had an opportunity to come here and talk to you just yet. Just to give you a little background on this project, our office had been inundated for several years from everybody from chamber members to business community members, elected officials, board members, and folks who were just contacting us to say, hey, it'd be nice if we had something here to keep us from driving to other cities and other states to see our children play competitive sports. And given the background of the community and the demographics that seem to support such a thing, maybe that's something that would be an opportunity here for Oldham County. I'm also here today with Sandy Hamilton from our office, who want to thank publicly for doing a lot of the footwork related to this project, even prior to getting into this feasibility study work. Our office started looking at this in 2019, and at that time, we were really just trying to learn what it was we needed to learn to be informed on the topic. We have visited sports parks. Actually, Magistrate Tice and former Magistrate Greenwell went with us to E-Town to look at the sports park they had there. We called all over the country and spoke with a lot of folks, and it really didn't take too long before we realized that this was a pretty massive project and would need a lot more expertise than we were able to muster just from calling around and getting a sense of what would be possible. Also, in concert with Kim Hides from Oldham County Tourism and Jim Urban from the Planning and Development Office, we had worked with the Fiscal Court Economic Development Committee to move into a process of trying to select a professional group that could actually analyze the market and tell us not what we think, but what they think according to what opportunities were there out there in the world. And so today we have what is the first of two phases. This is a draft report of the first of two phases, which will cover a couple of things relative to this project. And each of you, I think this is about a 161-page document. So it is a very in-depth, detailed look at a lot of different considerations. The feasibility study is broken into two phases. This is the draft of the first phase, and you can see on the screen, or you can see in your report there, that there were 8 points that this first phase covers. The 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th points all are centered around expenses. So whereas this looked at the economic, demographic, and tourism analyses, a local sports facility supply and demand analysis. It included regional competitive sports facilities analysis. They looked at sports tournaments and opportunities. They looked at the support amenities such as hotel and restaurants and sports tourism facilities, case studies, and then they made recommendations, cost estimates, and layouts. The second phase is more geared towards what would the implementation of this project, should we move forward with their findings, and break down into things like financial expectations, investment numbers, the expenses related to management, and pro forma numbers as well. To briefly summarize the report, this phase of the project had these following project objectives. They took a look at where we are now, which is an assessment of the cities and the counties, the sports and recreation assets that we have, including the visitation induced, their attributes and quality and overall performance. It looked at how our assets stack up. What other cities in the area, what are they doing? What have they done? What's been successful in elevating the quality of life and inducing visitors? And what were the opportunities? So based on this assessment, where they are and how they stack up, the Hunden Strategic Partners Group identified some areas that represent the opportunities to us, and they make those recommendations. The next part, how we get there, is more geared towards the funding and financing and expenses related to the project. By the way, I mentioned Hunden Strategic Partners. This group was selected after a process went out, and I think we took a look at 5 different companies, and all of them made really tremendous presentations. The group that I mentioned with the Economic Development Committee, with our Tourism Director and Planning and Development Director, were able to kind of screen through these, and we ended up with the Hunden group, which is actually a very well-known group and is, I think, widely established across the country as one of the best groups that do these types of projects. So they have provided a SWOT analysis for us, the strengths, opportunities, weaknesses, and threats. Some of the strengths they mentioned are the regional traffic along I-71, the growing high-earning population, and a strong local demand, and a weak local supply. Opportunities include the youth sports complexes with indoor and outdoor components, local facilities for recreation and quality of life, private sector partnerships, sports tourism, and additional commercial developments within the county. Weaknesses included the lack of turf and lighted spaces, the restrict scheduling, a lack of indoor facilities, and overall lack of supporting a hotel and restaurant supply, which were group-friendly businesses. Threats included the site constraints, site availabilities, competing facilities in the region, and competition for tournaments and established facilities. This is what I think is probably the most interesting part of the analysis here, which gave us, I guess, a recommendation matrix. After meeting with the Hunden folks, they came in, they did a national study, they did a regional study, and then they came in person to Oldham County. They visited our region, they went through, they toured with our school system, they toured our local parks, they looked at some of the local facilities in the region, and had identified, also we had the director of, the Sports Commission director from the city of Louisville come in as well, meet. Their findings were that there was a limited supply and a strong demand on indoor basketball and volleyball courts, and also emphasized that while there's good supply of both soccer, baseball, and softball, that there's still enough demand to actually make an impact in these areas. And finally, their recommendation, to oversimplify this, this study, was 8 indoor hardwood basketball courts that could be converted into 16 indoor volleyball courts, 4 full-size multi-purpose lighted turf fields, 8 grass multi-purpose fields for soccer, baseball, softball, lacrosse, archery, and ultimate frisbee. In addition, there were other recommendations. There were there was anecdotal evidence regionally amongst other professionals who felt like, for example, from the Louisville Sports Commission, that there is certainly a demand for swimming. Natatorium was brought up by that gentleman, but obviously a lot of markets lack natatoriums due to their expense. And so our hope with this first phase of the study was to identify whether or not there were opportunities for Oldham County Fiscal Court in partnership with other private and local entities to partner for something that could provide some tourism for the county. And so with that, we had met as a committee and has met as recently as this morning to discuss these things. So I welcome any questions that you have, and also we have our committee members here to be able to kind of add on to some of the things that I'm saying.
All right, thank you, David. Let's see, Magistrate Tice, do you have anything you'd like to add from the Economic Development Committee?
Well, my recommendation, and it was a split vote coming out of our committee, but our recommendation from the committee is at this point accept the report that we've gotten, but not to go forward at this point with the phase 2, because with everything that we have going on, potential availability of property and et cetera, that we'd be better off waiting to see what develops over the next couple of years, and at that time pick up where we were or what we found in this study. We're on a really changing ground here right now. So that's where our committee stood. That was our recommendation to the court from majority vote, but that's to be discussed with the court.
All right. In order to get this on the floor to discuss it, do you want to make a motion that at this point the report be accepted and no further action taken for the time being?
Yeah, I will. I'll make that motion.
I'll
yes,
second.
and that's fine.
You second, all right. Is there any discussion here from our members?
Do we have to, I guess the question is, do we have to accept the report? I mean, what's the need for the motion? I guess I don't understand.
Well, I guess the need for the motion was we could not have a motion and just accept the report. It cuts both ways, doesn't hurt, doesn't help.
Judge?
Yes, sir.
Just a quick question on if we vote to accept this report, that does not infer that we're going to go forward with the second phase of this study. Is that correct?
Sure.
I believe that's what the motion was.
Okay.
To accept the report and take no further action at this point.
Okay.
Magistrate Hawkins.
So Magistrate Tice mentioned that there was a split vote coming out of Economic Development Committee. I am in favor of moving forward, and I'll tell you a few reasons why. And Mr. Bazanis just mentioned too, as the report shows, there's high demand and low supply. And that rings true whether we're talking about our initial exploration, which was the tourism portion. Now, what the report did come back to indicate is that there is a demand, and what I'd like to request is we move forward with the second phase, which is 19,000, but gear that more toward a recreational directive rather than a tourism directive. I don't think there's an appetite, and I won't speak for everybody, but at least coming out of the committee for the tourism portion, the larger build. However, because of the supply being low and the demand being high, I do think we should pursue this on a recreational, much smaller scale to give our citizens a rec facility to be able to go to. And I think that the Hunden Group would gladly pursue that in phase 2. And we can talk about what phase 2 covers. David covered it a little bit. A few things would be some more recommendations, cost estimates, layouts. In addition, there would be financial and demand analysis, so we would analyze the demand a little bit more. The management and funding options that could be available, we'll analyze that. And then lastly, this is huge, the economic, fiscal, and employment impact analysis. And that would dive much deeper into that. I think that's kind of something we're all interested in. Additionally, is how would this impact our economy, and what kind of fiscal either pluses or minuses would it have? And if, like I said, if tourism direction isn't the way that we'd like to go, I'd like to encourage the second phase of this study for the recreational purposes, because I do think, just as the study said, that there is a high demand and a low supply. And I'd like to stay ahead of the curve, not just kind of fill in the spaces where there's not future development. I'd like to be on top of the curve in Oldham County. Put this, a nice rec center somewhere, and Hunden Group would help us find the location, help us determine the cost and all of the impacts, and see this whole study through. It's 19,000, and that's where I stand on this.
Magistrate Jeffries.
Just a concern I would have, going down that path. I think we've got some big projects that we're currently working on, and I agree with Magistrate Tice. I think we need to complete some of those, and then look at this. I know we don't have, from the Hunden report, we don't have the adequate hotel space now, and I know Magistrate talked about. Magistrate Hawkins talked about looking at the second phase study, but to more recreational side of it and not tourism side of it. But still, you've got to have probably some more additional hotels, and I think we're getting the cart before the horse. So at this time, and I know that the motion that's on the floor is to accept the original report, and so we would probably need to vote on that, and then Magistrate Hawkins' motion would then be in effect if she could get a second to then consider that. But I think we're a little bit premature on her motion at this point.
Okay, Magistrate.
That's right. That's where I was going to go.
Hounds.
Let's take the motion that we have in front of us, exercise that motion, and then if there's another motion after that, then we can have it. But the motion was to accept the study and not to go forward. You seconded that motion.
Right.
But now you're making a counter argument to your second.
That's okay. So, no, I mean, we can accept it and accept the preliminary draft is what we've been calling it, and then choose to not move forward, and I can vote against that. We also discussed, I'd like to bring this to Magistrate Tice, in the Economic Development Committee to not accept this report and to allow this report to stay as a draft form unless we decide to move forward and leave it with the chamber. Do you remember?
Yeah, we're kind of muddying the water.
Well, I think we're...
I heard what you said, but I'm a little confused exactly what you said.
So that was about half hour of our economic development. The first 30 minutes talked about, do we accept this into the public record, or do we leave it in draft form and not accept it unless we decide to move forward to phase 2 and then have the full study for, to be able to share publicly?
Magistrate Dye.
Thank you, Judge. I think that Magistrate Tice brings up a very appropriate motion at this time. I've went through the report, and I have to give the people that did it, they did a good job. They covered a lot of the information, more information than probably most people would have expected for the money that we spent. But I think this report is the beginning of something to be done in the future, and the future is not to go any further now. If you look at what they're, be it recreational versus tourism or both, the two things that just stares me right in the face is the fact that, number one, is they're talking about a lot of turf-type fields, some made-type indoor fields like volleyball, basketball. But we don't have a lot of large space that would be easily leveled out. Perfect example is some of the property in the Oldham Reserve. That's a very appropriate situation there. But we also would need not only the space for the facilities, but we also need space for the parking. And then when you have parking, then you're also going to have these other things that you're going to need, the eateries, the tourism things, the motel, hotel rooms. Again, you don't have to have a flat space to build some of those things, but you still got to have flat space for parking. So this, I think without spending another $19,000, I think I can. You don't have to give me $19,000 to see where the downside is going to come in. And but I think that this might be something at some point in time when the tax base gets a little different. I think that maybe not this court, but the next court will have a great document to start from, not something just to sit on the shelf and gain dust. But I think that I would support what Magistrate Tice has said, based on the fact that we're not, some counties around us that have a lot of great flat ground.
So you're calling for the vote?
No.
I'd like to, I'll say this, if I can. I agree with both positions expressed here. I think as far as this particular study goes, I think it lays out a bigger challenge for us than what we're probably willing to take on right now. We have other projects underway that we're trying to, accomplish, and they're moving forward, but they're all costly. I won't enumerate all of them, but we know money's involved. I do agree, though, with the Magistrate Hawkins, is that, and her basic sentiment is that there's a need in our county for perhaps a recreation center, something additional that we can have for ourselves. The Hunden study, as I read it, basically looks at the region and what's available and not available, but we just need to narrow our focus to Oldham County. What can we do to enhance recreational opportunities in our county for our community? The problem is that we have a lot of things on the table right now. I think there's a reluctance, certainly on my part, and perhaps everybody sitting here, to really bite off something new and big just for the community alone. We have quite a few things going. I am in favor of someday, some days when, having an natatorium. We can have year-round swimming. We're spending a lot of money there for a 90-day thing. But there are other things. We do need some basketball courts. Over in Shelby County, I know that they have 4 courts, I believe, that operate every day. I was over there, they said they could use 2 more. There are, and you could do things in courts, but to get out and build a big building with a lot of basketball courts, find the location for it, it's probably a bigger challenge than we can take on right now. I hate to see things go forward, be pushed into the future though, because at one time when I came on this court, one of the first things I voted for was to pay somebody in Lexington for a $67,000 park revision study, most of which has never happened. It was a study sat on the shelf. We all have good intentions to do things in the future, but most of us won't be sitting here in the future. Another group of people are going to have to get the enthusiasm and oomph together to make it happen. But I do agree that we can use some more things for the kids to do. And maybe we don't need, it would be nice to have another motel or two come into town, bring more lodging, but most of the people in the county go home every night, so they don't need additional lodging. And if we're going to get out of the competitive mode and just serve our community, we can do that. So I hope in the next couple of years, I hate to put it off because time goes by and good intentions are hard to keep up with if you don't jump on them right at the time. But I don't think the enthusiasm is here for actually taking on anything additional new at this point. Tice.
And that's one thing that we need to, and you were keying on that or talking around it, but the two terms we've used is travel leagues and the other one is recreational sports. Mm-hmm. Travel league is not so much for our local community kids. That's to an economic development initiative that brings people outside, like Derby Day. It brings outside people into our community and they spend dollars with us. So that's what the travel part of it is. There's a couple other communities in the state who have made the choice that they want to do initiative with recreational. And that means it's run by their parks department, et cetera. And that's the ones that really puts our children to where they get the true benefit of it. Our children are always going to, if they do travel leagues, they'll always travel. I mean, the parents and families don't just go one a year. They go multiple events all the time throughout the year. So I just want to make sure that the court understood what the two definitions of the two terms are. And I think as we move forward over the next couple of years, we'll make that decision, or the following court will make that decision of where we want to put our money and our efforts into either what I'm going to call travel or recreational, because they're both going to be a big step for our community. And I think there's going to be a need and to where we go, but I think we just need to stop it a second. That's just me.
I mean, the Magistrate Hawkins is right. I mean, we need more for families, and families have children, they also have adults, interactive things.
Our committee agreed as we went around the room, even as late as this morning, and we had some split votes, but they never were the same people. I mean, at one point, two were here against me, or then another one sided with me against one of them. So as we went around the room, we all understood what was going on. So anyway,
I would say if this is being shelved, okay, and for now, but it doesn't stop anyone from trying to pursue the ideas they have and bring them forward. And some idea may come forward, some group may support something. So I wouldn't discourage anybody from trying to raise issues, okay? But we do have a lot of things on our plate right now, and I'd like to see about 6 of them or 7 completed in the next 12 months.
If I can add to that also, I think that the second phase, which we'll get into numbers, those numbers will change over time. I do think studies can be updated for much less expense than was initially spent, and I do believe that there's a lot of because it becomes, it is a massive project, and the reason that the discussion has been robust, and in one scenario we're in agreement, and another one it's tough, I think is because we know that there is potential for this project, and I do think that if we were to pursue it, it would be successful. And so the timing is very, very important. And so our office certainly agrees with that sentiment. But I do think that updating this report and it being available to future courts and future private sector folks that can decide they can pursue these things on their own, as they're done in a lot of other communities as well, is definitely for what it's worth.
Manager Likens.
David, can I get a copy of this rather than reading it on the?
Yes.
Is there a printed?
We can provide you one. Yes.
So, yeah, thanks.
Manager Hawkins.
This question is directed toward Magistrate Tice. Would you be comfortable with withdrawing our motion and just allowing this to be just a simple presentation and just, like the judge says, put it on the shelf for now?
No, I think we need to decide as a court whether we take step 2 or not, and accept this, whatever the judge said, accept this as the.
There's two
accept it.
pieces to the puzzle, though. I think what
Go ahead.
I would not have seconded the motion because you have a counter argument. We can accept the court can accept the presentation. I think that should be one piece of the puzzle, and then the other piece should be, do we take step 2 or not, or phase 2 or not? It should be 2 separate motions, not one. But that's my opinion. That's where I was. Sorry.
You got a motion already on the floor. It's been seconded, been discussed. You've got to either vote on it or amend it or do something. You can't just let it hang like it is right now. And
All right, let's take a
Right.
vote on it then. We've got a motion on the floor in a second. All in favor of accepting the study and going no further with the Hunden study at this point, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Opposed?
No.
Okay, motion carries 7-2. Thank you. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, David.
Thank the Chamber for your leadership and David and Sandy in working on this project. Okay, thank you. All right, next item here, we're at the county administration. We have the bills. When you're ready.
Judge, I'd like to make a motion that we pay the bills, and I'd like a discussion after the second.
Second.
Okay, discussion?
Because of when we got these and because of the holiday yesterday, I do have a couple of outstanding questions, but I don't think that they should hold up the payment of the bills. Just to be clear, we need maybe a couple hours, not a day. There's a couple of questions in there that Pat
Okay.
hasn't had an opportunity to get back on us.
All right. I don't know why they just came at the last minute. They weren't sent Friday.
They were, but we weren't here. You all weren't here Monday.
Oh,
Holiday was yesterday.
all right, okay. Well, we'll try to avoid that in the future. Okay. We have to pay the bills today, or take some out if you don't want to pay them.
It's a general question about the pool payments, and that we don't have the names of the people that are listed that we're paying, and there's a Buffett payment. I guess the question is,
Which one, which page is it, Chris?
Well, we can start on page 1.
Okay,
Normally, the pool payments, it says pool payment refund to the pool company and the person in which we are giving the refund to. That information is not.
okay, which item? I don't have glasses
All of
here. All of them. Oh, they're all.
It just says, like, for one, it says closing out pool permit, Davenport Pools. Doesn't say who it's to. Usually there's a name to the person, like who the family is, the Hounds family or the Smith family. I've asked for
Okay,
that
were these
clarification.
people that got their pools approved, fences and so forth?
Yeah, we fill out refund requests for each one of them, and I stamp them and sign them and bring them to Allison, and so I think that's what Magistrate Hounds is looking for is
Four.
who were they to? But all of those invoices were filled out.
I'm not saying you didn't do your job. I'm saying that the data that we received is not usual and customary. I've asked for that data to be updated. It's the process is I sent the email at 8 o'clock on a Friday night. I got it at 4. Nobody was in the building yesterday, so it's a timing thing. I mean,
Understood.
Magistrate. And under the description, I'm catching bits and pieces of what you said there, but here it says paid to the pool company. says paid Davenport Extreme Pools. Is that what you're looking for?
No, sir. I'm looking for it to say paid, so we'll use the top one as an example. Closing out pool permit, Davenport Extreme Pools. Normally, there's a hyphen. If you go to the previous couple of payables, it'll say Smith or Jones or
For which one?
Urban or Hawkins. It'll have the name of the person in which it's going to.
And that would have been, what Allison should have put in there.
I'm not, right.
But they are all based on invoices that I submitted to her, so I get your question, but
You gave your response to me earlier today. It's not-
thank you.
All right, I mean, these are all people that have met our requirements and are entitled to their $500 refund. Is that correct?
That's correct, Judge.
Okay.
Do you want me to go on with the rest of them? Because
Okay, do you have some others? Okay, go on.
if you go down on page, it's Buffett Glance, so I'm not sure if it's under the B's or the, let's see here. It says on page 6, police HVAC system froze, issue with install corrected, and we're paying $235. There was an issue with the install, why wouldn't it be covered under the installation warranty? These are questions, Judge, we can't answer in court. I mean,
Well, I don't know. Stan, you want to say anything about this, or you probably, what's there to say?
Maybe Mr. Meter.
Page 6.
Or-
it's a timing issue thing, unfortunately, with the holiday.
I think our staff has, approved these. They've been, they're reasonable expenses. I don't think there are any reasons that we shouldn't approve them. In fact, we need to. So. I don't know what to say about that other than, just you didn't have a chance, I guess, because of the holiday to ask the questions, but that you might want to ask. But
Judge?
should have asked him this morning, I guess.
Judge, email went out Friday afternoon.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
I think we ought to pull him off for the sole reason that if the questions haven't been answered to his satisfaction, that's enough. We went around this circle with the change order about should that have been done a certain way. I mean, we have a way we've been doing it just because it was a holiday involved and it was poor planning on everybody's part, and that's okay. We won't do it again, hopefully, and just, do it next time around. I mean, especially with the pool permit things. I mean, we've wallowed some of those around with the list we've had with a few years.
Okay, well, I mean, other than on those pool permits, Measure Hounds, I mean, you feel that they're inappropriately issued, or what is the?
I have no
still
idea,
not,
Judge.
I'm still not really sure exactly what your objection is. It does have a person to pay on most of these here.
So, Judge, if I were to pull up the last report that we received, or 2 reports ago, I think it's the last report, it would say the name of the pool company and who the person is. I mean,
That's a checks and balances.
yeah. And if everybody else is fine with it, then I'm okay with it. I'll just withdraw my motion to approve the payables and vote no on the payables.
Well, some of them, I guess the ones that say pay All-American Pool and Supply, are that the ones that some of them have names associated with them to pay this individual or that individual?
And Judge, if I can,
Yes, sir.
that's who the check is made to. It's not made to the property owner, it's made to the pool company. So I'm not seeing what you're seeing, but if it's All-American Pool, that's who the check will be made to.
because
that's
they were the
who-
ones that paid for the
They were the
permit.
ones that paid the deposit. That's correct.
Whoever paid the deposit got it back when the fencing was put around the pool.
When the final inspection and the certificate of occupancy was issued.
Okay.
Yes.
Judge,
Yes, sir.
just one thing. I look back on in our August payables, and it's listed the same way. Pool permit refund, Davenport Extreme Pools. There was 2 of those for $500. So there was no name listed on those. It was listed to a Davenport Extreme Pool Company. So
I guess the permit, the refund would have the address of where what they got it back for, the reason they received it back, where the permit was met. Wouldn't that say on a record?
Each one of those is based on issuance of a final inspection of the pool, including the fencing, and then we just release that and fill out an invoice to get that $500 deposit released.
Okay. Measure Tice.
I think in the past, we've probably had the contractor who's done the work, but we've also had the name of in addition, we've had the name of the property owner. And I think that's what Magistrate Hounds is getting at, is we don't have those individual names attached to that. Am I correct,
Yes,
Chris?
sir.
Okay, so I think that's what it is before we'd had the company, the pool company, but we also had the name of the property owner. And I think that's what he's asking to have put back in.
If it was like that way, as Magistrate Jeffries pointed out, then I missed it the last payables. But in the past, yes, you are correct. It's had the name of the person, and it just
Yeah.
checks.
And that's right.
Well, and it is in our records, and so
I understand. I'm not faulting anybody. I'm just saying that the report is not normally what we would see, is what I'm accustomed to.
and that would be something that you're asking Allison to make sure gets on the future ones to be sure that you have the information you want.
Yeah,
I
go
think
back and
so.
do it the way we did it 3 or 4 months ago when Ms. Horn was here.
Okay, Magistrate Hawkins.
I've got 2 comments on this. I think if a magistrate would like to have access to the invoices as part of our due diligence of checks and balances, and that invoice is not available because it overlapped with a Labor Day holiday, then I think that those should be pulled out, and we can reassess it next month on the payables until we have a chance to look at the invoices that a magistrate
Will
wants to look
anything
at.
really be accomplished? Do you really just care who was the owner of the property as long as they have met our requirement and been approved, why are we, arguing about who owned the property? If the permit was met, or the situation, it just seems like there's extra work there to me.
Okay, and then my second question was, I'm wondering if before we pay to buy the police cars, if there was a purchase order that needed to be signed, and if we would have to approve that first.
No.
When you buy a car, there was no
No, it was
purchase order?
budgeted. Didn't say what kind of cars. It was budgeted, and we bought vehicles.
But we didn't have to sign a purchase order?
Huh?
We didn't have to sign a purchase order to purchase the vehicles?
Oh, yeah, we signed the purchase order. I did that.
Okay.
What are you saying?
So I thought if anything needed to be signed, like a purchase order, that would have to come through fiscal court first?
Oh, no. No, we're signing purchase
Okay.
orders all the time. This whole thing is full of purchase orders.
Okay.
Right, so,
Okay. I just thought with that high amount, I thought maybe that would come through fiscal court. but
no.
I could be incorrect.
No, we had in the budget to buy vehicles, police vehicles, and we bought them. Okay, well, I think we have a motion and second on the floor, don't we?
I'd like
Or
to
do we not?
withdraw my motion, Judge,
Okay, what was your motion to?
to pay the bills, because there's issues I don't have answers to the questions. I'm not, the pool thing, okay, but there's still other questions I have that are outstanding on the,
Well, we're obligated to pay people. We can't, you will have to identify the ones you want pulled out.
Okay,
We
I
can't
can identify
pull
them.
out everything.
Who seconded your motion?
Who seconded the motion? Did anybody?
Me?
I'm willing to withdraw, but then I'm going to make the motion to pay the bills.
All right. We got a motion on the floor to pay the bills. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Opposed?
No.
Motion carries 5-3. No, 6-3.
Should we do a roll call?
Okay, next item is
That was a no.
the
Judge, may we get
surplus
a,
vehicle. Pardon?
sorry, I just wanted to make sure Tara got the correct vote on that, and if she would like to do a roll call.
I have voting no, Hawkins, Hounds, and Dye.
Okay, that's who I heard too. Okay. All right, next item on the agenda here is the surplus vehicle. We have a van here. I'm going to have Jeff Tyndall, jailer, come forward.
A judge that came in front of the Public Safety Committee today, and we voted to allow this transaction to occur. The jailer was there, so he came out of committee positive to do that. So.
Okay.
It's all yours, Jeff.
Early July, I was reached out by the Kentucky Jail Association. Menifee County was driving a van that just shouldn't be on the road. They all asked all open jails across the county or across the state if anyone had an extra jail van out there, and we had one in surplus. Rick Stiltner, the county judge of Menifee County, and Deputy Judge Nuss have been in contact with each other, and they came out here 2 weeks ago, looked at the van, and they do want the van that is surplus. They know that it needs insurance and everything to put it on the road, but they're taking care of that, and I think the fiscal court, I'd like the fiscal court to allow Menifee County to have this this van.
I'd like to make the motion that we do that.
Second.
All right, moved and seconded. We donate a surplus Ford E350 van, year 207, to Menifee County. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. I think this donation being made, I'm in agreement with it. Menifee County has asked for and can use it. But you remember at the last meeting, I believe we gave a vehicle to South Oldham Fire. Okay. So between these two, I don't remember what the value of that vehicle was, but it seems to me it was around $7,000, wasn't it? I think we need to have our finance committee or somebody take a look at donations of vehicles. I'm happy to help Menifee County, but you know, the sum total of this and that given away, even to public agencies, takes money off the books for Oldham County residents who have paid for these vehicles. So I'm happy to, we're, a substantial county that is able to help less fortunate, and when we can, and we do, we help people in our community, and I'm not opposed to helping other counties, but like I say, we wouldn't want to make a habit of this in my mind. Okay. Next item on our agenda is a petition to dilapidate a structure, or take down a structure, a dilapidated one. It's already dilapidated at 11316 Denham Drive. Jim Urban.
Thank you, Judge. I'm going to introduce what we're asking you to do, and Adam is going to give you all the details. This is consideration of a petition concerning a dilapidated structure at 11316 Denham Drive. It says Louisville, Kentucky. That's their mailing address. They are actually in Willow Creek, and they are in Oldham County. This was prepared by our county attorney, Barry Bagster, on behalf of Adam Bear, who's our code enforcement officer. And essentially what we're asking that the court conduct tell us to conduct a required preliminary investigation and thereafter that notice of complaint and charges be served upon the owner and all interested parties as part of this ordinance. This is all related to the dilapidated structure ordinance. And so we're trying to make sure that we go through every step necessary in order to go there. And Adam is going to, again, give you the details. This has gone through the Code Enforcement Board. The building actually burned in 2019. It is still covered with a tarp, and it's not been remedied. So I'm going to turn it over to Adam at this point for information.
Good afternoon, Fiscal Court. I'm Adam Bear with Oldham County Code Enforcement. This is citation number 708 that I did issue for 11316 D Ham Drive. Following is going to be a few pictures of the property. The owner of record at the time that this went in front of the code board was Ashley Yale. Her address on record was 8105 Braxton Road in Louisville. This is the general location. This property is in Willow Creek subdivision, down 22, right on the Jefferson-Oldham County line. It was came to me as a nuisance violation that I took to the code board. Here's some pictures of the property that I took back in February of 2022. As you can see, these are two pictures from the front of the house. You can see the tarp on the side on your picture on your left, and then kind of a frontal picture. I went out, took these pictures, and then sent a couple letters to the owner on record with no response. Finally, I did issue some courtesy letters. Didn't get any response. So this is the pictures of the back of the property. Here's a picture of the, you can see this, taken August the 4th of 22. Some more pictures that were taken. The citation for that was issued for that property was dismissed by the code board. It was being foreclosed on by the bank at the time, and the code board decided that we didn't want to stop that procedure. We wanted it to move forward, so we did dismiss the citation. That was in September of 22. June of this year, no improvements were made on the house. I did receive another complaint on it. I went back out, looked at it, spoke to the master commissioner, and apparently this property had been listed on the docket for foreclosure 5 times and was pulled 5 different times by the bank. It never did get foreclosed on. So in July, I did issue another citation to the property owner. I also sent a copy of that citation to the bank and any interested party. These are some pictures that were taken June of this year that started that citation. You can see the front of the property. This is the side where the tarp had fallen down. Once again, this is the rear of the property. It's not been covered. It's been open to the elements. A couple more pictures of the property. I did issue the citation number 708 on July the 6th. Like I said, I sent it to the property owner on the address on file. I did send a copy to the bank, and I did hear from both parties, the bank and the property owner. So both of them were aware of the citation and our stance on the citation. I posted it on the door. I did receive the email from Ashley. I also received an email from the law office that was representing the bank, asking me how to resolve the violation. I informed them the property needed to be in compliance by either restoring the building or demolition of the property and cleanup. On July the 28th, the law office responded that their client's preservation team, so the bank's preservation team, they had indicated they had no intentions to make any repairs at that time, and they was going to reset the foreclosure sale. So here's a copy of that email that they sent me. This is the current condition of the property as of August the 1st. And that's it. If you have any questions, I have received many complaints from the neighbors in the neighborhood. They came to both code board hearings a little over a year ago, and they also came to the most recent one that the final order, the code board said, it's not on there. I don't know where it went. I did receive a final order from the code board for a fine to be assessed and to also move forward to bring this to you all to start the dilapidated procedure through you all.
Judge?
All right. And
Just a quick question on the process that to go through. If we agree to accept your recommendation or whatever on this, then the county goes in and removes the structure and cleans it up, and then do we put a lien on the property?
That's not the first step.
No.
Okay.
We start an investigation, so our chief building official will go out officially and look at the building and determine that it's an unsafe structure according to the Kentucky Building Code. And then there's a lot of posting of notice, and we're working with the county attorney's office, so there are many steps to go through. This is actually the first one. It's just the fiscal court acknowledging that it's potentially a dilapidated structure. And again, I'll read, it says that we're requesting that the court conduct the required preliminary investigation, and thereafter that notice of complaint charges be served upon Ashley Hill and other interested parties. So we have to make sure we notify everybody, has to be posted properly. We do have to come back here before to ask you, if we do this investigation, to actually go ahead and declare it dilapidated after we present to you, and then go ahead and contract with somebody to tear it down. So we've got a couple months to go.
But once that process comes to a conclusion, then the process would be that they would, you all or the county would contract someone to tear the structure down, and then they would be billed for that, or a lien would be placed or whatever on that property?
They would be billed, and if they didn't pay the bill, then we would place a lien on the property, and then we would foreclose on that lien.
Okay.
And so it is very complicated, and we're going to make sure we take every step the right way. I don't know whether this will initiate action by either Ms. Hill or the bank, but that's what we're hoping, along with the code enforcement action and potential for additional citations.
Okay. Thank you.
Good.
Imagine die.
This is in my district. I've been looking at this house now since 2019. I've listened to the people in Willow Creek complain about it continuously since 2019. This is the fifth structure in my district that I've had to go through this. I believe me and Tate Combs have talked about several and that I've had. And back a couple, 3 courts ago, Magistrate Eldridge started a red flag home program that would expedite some of these things. And the bottom line is on this is Mr. Urban has said, this is just the beginning of an additional long road. We just got part of the yellow brick road done here to get to this point. The problem is that these Miss Hill, I would be willing to guess that any equity she has been consumed by the bank, and it's just the bank owns it now, and it's the attorneys sitting on their hands because for whatever reason. If memory serves me correct, I believe it was the home was the mortgage was with one of the government programs. I'm not going to say which one. I'm not for sure. But the bottom line is, we don't have many of these here. But I think it's ridiculous that a house can sit there going into its 5th year, and everybody knows who all the players were. And I think that somewhere along the line, I think the county needs to come up with an ordinance that's got some sort of little more bite to it. You know, so if you don't do something in so many days, well, we're just going there and bulldoze it and tough stuff. Let the bank chase us instead of us chasing the bank. But this has happened all over the country in the last round of foreclosures, and the next time it's even going to get worse. So, I'm a little burned out on this whole thing because that's strange. The house burned. I'm burned out on it too. Mm-hmm. It's just that we need, as a court, this is a problem with I'm sure it's just not in my district I have this problem, but other districts have houses that are, and we have the code enforcement officer there. I imagine you could probably come up with a half a dozen houses that probably that would verge on the, that are inhabited or probably are not inhabitable. So I think we need to do more as a court. I'm not chastising or criticizing anybody that's been working on these things at this point, but I think this is the first time that we've had that we've actually had a code officer come up and do this, and I commend him for his action and Mr. Urban's support, but we need to do a better job on this as a court, period.
I mean, if the Public Safety Committee would like to take that on, it'd be just fine.
We don't write ordinances, that's not.
Well, you can make recommendations.
Well,
Okay,
I'm just going to quickly address it.
We're not lawyers, we don't write ordinances.
You know, we do have this dilapidated structure ordinance is the right way to do it. I'm not sure we need another ordinance. What the issue is that when you have a property that burns and there's an arson investigation, there's insurance companies involved, and that drags on sometimes for a couple of years.
But this wasn't arson.
I'm not sure about that, but I think
I
we should
am.
check. I think it was. But anyway, that's not what we're debating. It's that we do have this ordinance, and we have, Adam is doing a great job of reaching out to property owners. We did have at the code board both the owner and the bank at the meeting. And so we, you know, it may get resolved here in the next couple of days, but we have to take this step because we got to go through this procedurally the right way. We can't just go on somebody's property and tear a house down. So I was hoping that you were going to, at the end of that, make a motion to support this petition.
Well, wait a minute, I'm not, yeah, I just want to hear, now, I hear what you're saying, and you're saying, well, it might get resolved, and don't take this the wrong way, but you seem to act as though that's some sort of a win for the county. It's not a win for the county. We've been looking at this crap for 5 years, and it shouldn't be that long. We should have been there the first month it was like this. And and I just think that we shouldn't don't take it personal, Jim.
I'm not
saying
taking it personally.
I'm just saying we
If
shouldn't
there's
be waiting
if there's
5 years to do this.
If there's a fire investigation, we can't do anything. We have to wait until
Well,
the
I'm gonna
investigation's
find out.
over.
One of us
So
is-
I'm telling you, there's a procedure we are following. And granted, it's been 5 years, but we have done it in Westport. We did it in Goshen. And, you know, it's always the same. There was a fire in Kamer Place that when we went out there and said it's been sitting there for 9 months, 2 weeks later, the building was torn down because the owners realized they had a responsibility to tear the building down. So we've had others that are taken
I can think of one in Westport.
I'm sorry?
I can think of one in Westport that was an arson.
Well, and it took us a while because we had to get through, they had to get through the arson investigation. You can't just go tear a building down.
Well, I'm going to check with the Oldham County Police. If this was not an
Well,
arson.
that's something a committee can study to see if we can improve
But the
it.
bottom line is, if it was an arson investigation, certainly, if you all knew that, then someone should have had their ear to the ground with the court system.
Judge, are you asking for
Magistrate Woosley.
Are you asking for a motion to support the petition? Okay, I'll make that motion. We support the petition concerning dilapidated structures at 11316 Denham Drive.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion about this? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Pardon? Negative? Abstain? Okay.
Are you on the property?
8-1, or 8-0-1, or something like that, okay.
Judge, can I ask one question?
Yes, sir.
We pulled this, didn't you all say that we had this lined up to be done one other time and we pulled it?
No.
No, we didn't pull it. Back in '22, I had issued a citation, took it to the code board to move forward.
Yes, sir.
And at that time, when we went to the code board, they had it set to sell at auction at the courthouse steps. So per the advice of our attorney at the code board, they told us we were best off not to pursue code enforcement on it at that time by issuing citations and placing liens on the property because we would slow the foreclosure procedure down. So we pulled this, the code board pulled it. The code board decided not to move forward because the property was being auctioned off at the courthouse steps.
If there was an arson case at that time, wouldn't that been brought up at that time?
It was brought up.
It was brought up.
Yes, there was an arson arson investigation. And just to say, part of the reason why this took so long, There was an arson investigation, and then there was a moratorium on foreclosures throughout the United States because of COVID. So no foreclosure could take place. So the property kind of sat there in limbo for quite some time. We did start on it as soon as the moratorium ended, which would have been in 22 when I took it to the code board the first time. Thank you all.
Thanks, Ed.
Let's take a break.
We've been in here for an hour and a half. Let's, how about take a 10-minute break? Okay. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right. We're back now, and is there a motion to go back into session, please?
So moved.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
We're back in session. Next item on our agenda today has to do with, it's a public hearing regarding the 2023 Oldham County Fiscal Court tax rate. This will be a public hearing, so anyone who is here to speak for or against the recommendation is able to do so later. But first of all, we'll have our CFO, Stan Clark, review the tax recommendation for us.
Okay. We're recommending that we do not change the tax rate. We keep it at 8.7 cents per $100 of value, which is allowed. Each year we go over things about a compensating rate versus a 4% rate plus a rate increase that exceeds. A compensating rate theoretically keeps your revenue flat no matter what the value, if the value of the property underlying has gone up or not. KRS limits the increase to 4% a year without subject to recall. This particular, by keeping our rate the same, same property last year that was in this county this year value has been increased 3.7%. By keeping our tax rate the same at 8.7, we in effect are raising our revenue 3.7%, which obviously with inflation we've had in the last year or so doesn't even come close. But this is by keeping our rate the same, it's an attempt to try to stay a little bit with all the increased cost and everything, workers' comp to payroll to everything. It generates about 230-something thousand additional income versus if we had lowered the rate. The other thing is, if we took the compensating rate, we would actually slightly decrease our revenue because everything gets rounded up and down and through here. And so when that happens, if we were to lower the rate to the next thing, we would actually bring in like 30,000 less revenue than we did last year during a time of high inflation. So therefore, our recommendation is that we do what we've been doing for several years, not change the rate, keep it flat at 8.7 cents. Any questions?
Magistrate Hounds.
Judge, we talked about this when we did the budget so many months ago and it was approved, and it did come through the Finance Committee then that the recommendation would be to keep the tax rate as the same. So I'd like to make the motion, we keep the tax rate 8.7.
So moved. Or second, I'm sorry.
All right, moved and seconded, we maintain the tax rate of 8.7 cents per each $100 of valuation on real property. Okay. And so this being a public hearing, is there anyone who's come today to speak in favor or in opposition of this recommendation? Well, seeing no one, I'll close the public hearing. In 2022, the revenue produced by the tax rate was $6,784,121. By keeping the property tax rate the same at 8.7, the revenue expected is going to be $7,159,252. So that will be a slight increase in revenue for the county government, but no increase in property tax for our residents. And of course, as CFO Clark just said, we're not near keeping up with inflation, but we're fortunate enough to still have growth in the county tax-wise. So would any magistrate like to comment on this? Magistrate Dye?
Yes, Judge. How about of that 7,159,252? What is the taxable property, or the tax base that we're basing that off of? 9 something?
Big number.
It is $7,864,064,000. So yeah, that's the real estate value of our county as assessed.
I got a question. I'm pretty sure I'm right on this, but it seemed like I was watching a school board meeting the other night, and that number was higher. Could there's been higher than ours?
It should be identical.
I don't say that. It sounded like I must have heard it wrong, but it seemed like
That's the real estate, and you add tangible personal property to it. You have motor vehicles and other things that maybe they've added into.
Maybe they added together.
tax base.
Okay. All right. Okay.
The real estate, which is the real estate tax we're talking about.
Right. $7 billion, huh?
Yeah.
A lot of money.
7 with a B.
Thank you.
All right, anyone else? Looks like our county is worth about, a fifth of Jeff Bezos, something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, he called me and mentioned it to me.
Whatever. All right, we've got a motion on the floor in a second. With no further questions, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. And did not need a roll call vote for that. All right. We'll go forward now. I want to jump ahead for just a second. Jailer Tyndall has asked if we could take item G next because he has people waiting at the detention center for him down there on the staff meeting. So we'll, accept your request.
Judge, this was brought in front of the Public Safety Committee today. It was approved, vote 2-0, to accept his updated handbook for the year 2023. Take it away, Jeff.
Good afternoon again. Every calendar year, the jail has to present our policy and procedure per Department of Corrections jail standards to the fiscal courts. In July 27th, I sent a policy procedure manual to every magistrate, Judge Vogel, and County Attorney Barry Baxter. All updates to last year's jail policy and procedure were highlighted in yellow. Then that was just due to the state's updated jail standards and the Oldham County Detention Center's policy and procedures. Didn't know if anybody on the fiscal court had any questions about that. If you were able to review it, I talked to several magistrates about it. I'm just asking the fiscal court to approve the jail policy and procedure.
Judge, I'll make it motion.
Second.
All right, moved and seconded. Now discussion. Magistrate Tice.
Yes,
As I was going through it, I had read it before, so the only thing I reviewed was those marked in yellow.
correct.
What is capital PREA?
PREA. PREA is Prison Rape Elimination Act.
What does that mean?
It means in 2003, President George Bush Sr. Passed a law stating that inmates shall not face any type of abuse, sexual in nature, by staff or other inmates. Prior to 2003, they didn't have this in place. It was a law passed, and they take it very seriously.
Got it. What is a chirping device?
Chirping device is something that came out in 2018. It is a texting device that is sold through the phone system, Combined Public Communications. Every text that's sent out by an inmate, 10 cents of that, 10 cents to send a text and 10 cents to receive a text.
Oh, okay. I have one left. This was on page 67. It's a holder, HOLDER. What does holder mean? That was my note.
Holder means that if Oldham County has an inmate and Menifee County has a warrant out for that inmate, we will place a holder on our county inmate that says when we're done with that inmate, we will send that inmate to Menifee County. They'll be responsible for coming to get them.
So you can't release them.
Well, the only thing I was going to say is thanks for being the jailer. You did a very good job of answering the questions.
Thank you, sir.
Magistrate Jeffries.
Just one thing, and we talked about this, I think, Jeff, yesterday on, I think it's page 52, about the federal inmates will not be charged unless approved by the United States Marshal. Could you elaborate a little bit on that?
Correct, and I told you that I would take care of that. This page says they will not be charged. Federal inmates are not allowed to be criminally charged unless approved by the U.S. Marshal in their district. So a lot of the federal crimes are bigger than what they would be doing in jail, such as destroying jail property. I would normally criminally charge a county inmate or a state inmate because they belong to us. But U.S. Marshals say they're not even going to court till their court case is done. And a lot of this time, they face 15, 20 years. So this is just, when it says not able to be charged, that means we won't charge them with any criminally charged stuff unless the U.S. Marshal says so.
So is that something we need to add, that criminally charged, because it just says charged?
I can do that, and if everybody on the fiscal court understands that, I will put that in for the 2024 policy and procedure manual if you'd like me to.
I would like to see that, added. I mean, I don't know whether we need to do that by amendment or just, common consent or whatever, but.
What page was that on?
Page 52.
Okay.
E, number 3.
I think we need to bring that in front of the jail committee, public safety committee, to make sure that everybody gets the gist of it.
Okay. I can take it.
So I'll leave it up to you when you want to bring it up.
Magistrate Hawkins.
I'm going to follow Magistrate Tice's lead on this. What is a blue jean appointment?
A blue jean is an appointment that it's basically a Zoom appointment. That's just what the company calls it. They call it a blue jean visit. It's usually what the attorneys use to see their clients. So they'll call it, that's just what the company that we use to set up the court cases call that system. It's called a blue jean. They'll call our administrator, Amanda Hamilton. She will set them up for a blue jean, and then we will call that inmate up to the front of the jail and put them in front of a screen so they don't have to leave our facility.
Okay, and IM is inmate. That's what I've
Yes, ma'am.
gathered. Okay, and then on some of the new, at least two of these, when you talk about the C block and the B block, the additions spell out inmates. So should that all be consistent and just be IMs also? Do you want to look at what I'm looking at?
Please.
Okay, here, I don't know how to do that, but you can come here and look. See, like right there, escort inmates, and then the line above it is IMs.
See that inmates out for.
And right there, inmates, it's spelled out.
Okay.
So
IM does stand for inmate. It's just a shortened version. I'll take care of that too.
Thanks.
All right.
All right. Thank you. Anyone else? Magistrate Langston.
Yes. Jeff, did you all run, I know the safety committee went through this. Did you run this through Tina and Keiko to make sure it was, I know you went through Barry Baxter's office.
When this policy first came about, I mean, this policy and procedure manual has grown over the years since I started in 97. Every year we update it. The biggest update to it was in 2018 when the jail opened, the new detention center opened. We revamped it all, and it was approved. It was approved by Keiko attorneys. It was placed in front of the former county attorney, and every year we've just highlighted it and sent it to fiscal court.
Okay. I just want to make sure Tina is okay with everything that was added to it.
I would say she has seen it. I'm not for sure. I will check with Ms. Schaaf.
Okay. It's just a question. So.
Okay.
That manual's come a long way from the first time I saw it in 2010.
Yes.
No, it looks great. I'm not complaining. I just want to make sure that we're covered on everything.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
I'm asking. We've got a motion and a second here.
Okay. Sorry.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you,
All right.
Judge.
Motion carries. Now we'll go on to the LG&E easement request for Oldham County Detention Center. Jim Sullivan.
Jim Sullivan, County Engineer. It's a good segue to have Jeff Tyndall earlier because this is with regard to an easement at the detention center. And actually, I've got a graphic of it here. Okay, the area being proposed by LG&E is the crosshatched area along the state right-of-way. There's an existing overhead pole line in approximately the location of the purple line, which would be the existing state right-of-way for Highway 146 there at the detention center. There's also the dotted blue line you see near the driveway. That's an existing easement that extends from the east towards the west. And so this is a proposal of an extension of this easement. The reason is for the construction of the Highway 393 realignment and the necessary railroad track realignment for that construction. And the LG&E is proposing to add crossbars to the existing overhead pole line, so it's going to extend towards the jail, but it'll all be overhead, and that's when LG&E brought this to us initially, something the judge requested is that we be clear that there's not underground to be included unless we're further notified, because there is a fence there and some other amenities that we didn't want damaged. So this easement is to be for overhead installation only, and that's been included in the easement, and LG&E agrees with that. So I'm just asking that fiscal court approve the judge to sign this easement.
Judge?
Yes, sir.
I move that we approve the deed of easement and allow you to sign it for the LG&E at the detention, in front of the detention center.
Second.
All right, there's a second? Manager Woosley, all right, thank you. Any further discussion here? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we'll talk about the KYTC contract and Kenwood Road. A road that is on paper but not in reality yet.
This is a memorandum of agreement between Fiscal Court and the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet authorizing $292,500 in federal funds for the design phase of the Kenwood Road project. The Kenwood Road project will build a new connector road between Kentucky 146 and the Kentucky 329 bypass in Crestwood. The required local match for the design phase is $73,125. The City of Crestwood will participate in the project by providing half of the programmed matching funds. Fiscal Court's matching commitment will be $36,563 for this phase. We are asking Fiscal Court to allow Judge Vogel to sign the agreement.
So moved.
Got a motion, second?
Second.
All right. Is there any discussion on this? We all know where it is, right next to the Stockyards Bank in Crestwood, running down to between Kenwood and Walmart.
Sorry we didn't pull up a map, but it is actually the extension of a road that's already there that goes from the 329 bypass to Kenwood Elementary. And it would extend, as Judge Vogel said, over to where Stockyards Bank is on 146.
Right. Measured Hounds.
By us agreeing to this, are we agreeing to pay for half of the road also?
There's a 20% local match on all phases, and the money is coming through KIPTA. So, yes.
Okay, I guess in the road priority stuff that we've talked about, like when we were talking about in the budget, where does this align? Because I don't remember this number, I don't remember this road being on that list.
I think it is.
It's in the budget.
We put it in the budget.
Okay, I have to go back and look then. Okay.
I'm pretty sure it's in the budget.
Yes.
It may not look familiar because in the budget, at that time, Crestwood had not yet committed to half. So it's a larger number. It's for the full $73,000.
And should you approve this today, we're going next Wednesday to Crestwood City Commission, and it'll be an agenda item that we're submitting to them to get a resolution for their share.
Is the road in the city of Crestwood?
Yes.
Manager Tice.
My question was going to be, how come Crestwood is not doing this?
Right.
Why does it involve county money?
Well, the first thing is that we're the LPA, the local planning agency, so we do all road projects through the county. And I guess the answer that I would give you for why we're sharing the cost is because that we collect tax revenue from all properties in Oldham County, and this will help relieve actually traffic in and around Crestwood, especially downtown.
Well, I understand what you're saying, but if all of the properties in Crestwood, then if we have to front the project or whatever, but Crestwood has always repaid us the money because it's actually their project. It's kind of like us.
Well, yeah, we do front the money, first of all. Yeah, we pay it, and then we, like, even when we do a project like this with the city of LaGrange, it depends. Sometimes we try to get the bills to be split in half, and it creates almost as much issue as us just paying it and then getting reimbursed.
That's where I am, is I'm thinking we should be totally reimbursed.
Well, again, I always discuss these projects with Judge Vogel, and we did discuss this with Mayor Kramer, that we would split the cost.
We didn't agree to that.
Well, now, we have to vote on it before we decide.
You know,
Well, that's
So-
all right. We'll
so
take a
if-
vote this afternoon, and if you don't want to assist Crestwood on this road, even though we've got a hell of a traffic problem there, you'll have an opportunity to vote no.
Okay.
Simple as that. But I think there's some people on this, fiscal court from that area, and they, want that problem solved. So.
And I understand, and I was in Crestwood the other day, but we have a hell of a school problem, which creates a lot of these problems right around the area we're talking about in Buckner. And
I know,
so-
and we brought up 2 years ago asking this court to pay for a traffic study to help solve those, and it was voted down.
Yeah, that was for a traffic study that was,
to try to solve the.
in my opinion, ineffective to the solution of the problem.
Well, we still got
But
the
anyway,
problem. I mean,
we're at Kenwood now, so
we're okay. Okay, we're trying to, we can't undo the locations of the schools. And if we want to shut off all subdivisions and let no further people come to Oldham County, and we won't have any, our traffic won't keep increasing, but we've got to do something to relieve it. And
but our entities, our public entities in Crestwood, LaGrange have to carry their own weight when it's their responsibility. Or in my opinion, it's their responsibility.
Well, my viewpoint is that Crestwood would not be able to do this if they were asked to stand on their own and pay for all of it. They just wouldn't do this project, quite honestly. You got to remember that we're paying only 20% of the project cost. We get money through KIPTA, 80% comes from the federal government. So, I mean, these are projects that we've done over and over and over again in LaGrange and in cooperation with LaGrange and in Crestwood and in cooperation with Crestwood and
Have we
Pee Wee
done a
Valley.
project like this in LaGrange?
Allen Lane. We did the design phase for Allen Lane, and part of the road actually is in LaGrange, part of it's in the county, but we paid all of our share of it. In previous
well, somebody has
administrations.
to take a leadership role here, and if we could keep wanting to pass the buck to somebody else, this is beneficial to the county. All these people pay county taxes. All kinds of people drive all over this county who don't live in Crestwood, come through this area. This is not an exclusive Crestwood problem, just like Buckner's not an exclusive, Buckner problem. I mean, there's people coming from everywhere. And what I hear is that we put in a new road in extension for Commerce Parkway.
Yep.
Golly, the number of people who have told me that they are really pleased that that went through, because everybody's looking for relief here from somewhere.
Right. And Judge, I want to add that Superintendent Radford is in favor of this project, and we've talked to the board staff, and they're all in favor of this project as well.
Right. And so anyway, okay, Magistrate Woosley.
Mr. Urban, does this involve any school board property? Will they need to give up any? And if so, can that be used for part of our match?
We haven't asked them to donate the land yet, but if we start the project and we get the design phase done and there's right-of-way, we will be asking the Board of Education to contribute that portion of land.
It was discussed at one point, and I'm not sure we took a vote on it or just confirmed that it would.
School board.
The school board
Through the
would
school board?
donate that property,
It
so.
went in front of the school board.
Well, again, I don't remember that we actually asked for the donation. I know that it was discussed with the board, but I'm not sure that an actual donation, because we don't exactly know what it is.
Yeah, I was actually on the board at that point, so I don't remember, again, I don't remember if it was just a discussion of they may be coming toward us
Yeah.
and asking, and if so, would we be okay with donating a section of property to get the project going?
And that, again, may be true, but it doesn't actually, we didn't have the actual, okay, it's this wide and this long, and that's what we're asking for. So we do need to go to them with an official ask for the parcel that we would be looking to.
But that could go toward our 20% match.
It could, yes.
Okay.
Manager Jeffries.
Yes, Jim, I guess my concern, I mean, we need to move forward, I think, on this project. I mean, we've got problems in Crestwood, we've got problems in Buckner, and I think that, with these funds that have been allocated or whatever, I think that this is an opportunity that we definitely don't want to miss or whatever, and I think that we need to, to step up and sounds like Crestwood is going to agree to cooperate with us on that, and if we can get the school board to donate property or whatever, I think we can get this project in place at a relatively low cost for Oldham County. So I think it's a project that we definitely need to support, and I definitely will vote to support this project.
Manager Hawkins.
How many owners are we talking about? One would be the school board, and then
I don't remember, we did a preliminary study. I think there's only like 3 or 4.
Yeah, it's not a lot.
There are not a lot. The Board of Education, and I think either 2 or 3 private owners.
and none of them have houses on them, the private owners?
It goes through a business area, and there are no buildings in the way, if that's your question.
Yeah, would it affect somebody's home?
No, it's only through a business area, not through
Only,
homes.
okay, that's
Yes.
the owners. I thought you said there were a few.
That's correct, yeah.
few
All of
owners.
them are commercial properties. Yes.
And then how far from the school, how many feet from the school would the road be? It seems like it would be very close to the school, from what I can tell. Kenwood Station?
Yeah, I don't actually have a measurement, but we can get you that. I know that when Kenwood Station Elementary was planned and built, Superintendent Hazelton was in the office, and they put it in a place where it wouldn't be affected by the road. It looks
Manager
close,
Hawkins.
but I'll sorry, I'll have to.
Manager Hawkins.
That's okay.
There's a stub road that runs up to just between Kenwood and the back of Walmart now.
Yes.
And the plan was that stub road would just be continued on through the side of the building. So I have a picture here I can show you, but it's,
Right next to Kenwood Station, right?
Right.
Yeah,
That's correct.
okay.
Yep.
I didn't feel like this was a good use of the $70,000 or even half of the $70,000 in my opinion, so I'm not going to support this today.
Is
Manager Tice.
Is the 73,000 the total match for Crestwood and Oldham County?
It's combined. So Oldham County's half would be 36,563. Crestwood's half would be the same.
Okay.
And that's just for the design phase.
And all of this property is inside the city limits. The reference that was used, the example that was used a minute ago was Allen Lane. And Allen Lane was said that one side of it was LaGrange and the other side was the county. So that's different than this situation where it's all Crestwood. When we were talking about Allen Lane, and I remember it specifically, and I thought Allen Lane was, both sides was the city of LaGrange. And just for the record, I was opposed to that. So I'm not changing sides of the fence. I'm just continuing my stance. And I have difficulty figuring out that it would be that big of a hardship for Crestwood to come up with another $36,000 and do all that's inside their community.
Well, it's 36,000 for this phase, and then for the right-of-way and utilities and construction phase, there would be a shared match between us and the city. And that really was, when I said it, I think it would be a hardship, because when you get into moving utilities and construction, it's a lot more expensive.
Oh, now that opens up or flips the rock over. How much more are we going to be in on this? Now we know the rest of the story.
That's the match.
Or I would like to know the rest of the
I have
story.
no idea.
Now, we all know how budgets can change and pricing can change over the course of several years. So this is what is currently programmed in the TIP with KIPTA for design right-of-way utilities and construction. Oldham County's half to build the road for all 4 phases would be $391,746.50.
And that includes the 37 that we're
Yes, that
talking
includes
about,
the-
or 32 we're talking
Yes.
about today. So we're talking about a $400,000 deal.
Plus.
That's correct. For
At a minimum.
a project that the total cost is, Belinda, I can't see the numbers, that's small.
$3,917 for
So that's 10% of a
$461.
$4 million project.
I'm not sure that this presentation has been fair to the magistrates.
Well,
That's all I'll say.
I want to repeat that it is in the budget. We put these in the capital budget, and you voted for the capital budget. And we move forward with KIPTA prioritizing these projects based on we have meetings with the finance committee and everybody, and we have moved forward with this project because we saw it in the budget. It was approved. And here we are now facing potential denial on a project that we put a lot of time and effort into, and we go to KIPTA and we prioritize projects and get money. And I get that it's a $400,000 out of pocket for the county, but we receive tax money from every property in Crestwood, even though this is all in Crestwood. And there are some commercial properties in Crestwood that I gotta believe produce a lot of income for Oldham County. And, you know, I'm sorry, it's frustrating for me to be standing here after getting everything lined up and including having this in a budget and now being told that it might
Well,
not pass.
I don't think we've been told that. We've got some people that have asked questions about it, but I think they should evaluate carefully. The leadership of this body is the leadership of the county. We have a county with, there's many traffic congestion problems. We need to solve those problems, step up and get it done. We start the drawing lines in the sand, there's going to be a lot of places. Should I tell Jim Silliman not to help anymore with the railroad problem down in Crestwood? I could pull him off that. He's been trying to get the train issue stopped there. If you want me to stop, if Jim's time should not be spent in Crestwood on that, I'll pull him off it. There's just too many bleed over spots where you just can't draw these really sharp lines. This is something that's needed. There are going to be people from all over our county that use this road. It's a heavily traveled area. I don't know how many people are coming through Crestwood on 146 through Veterans Parkway. It's just, we need to look for relief wherever we can find it. Our predecessors did not leave us a lot of, road opportunities here. We need to put them in when we can get them in. And I think this is a very worthy expense, and everybody on this court will drive on that road a lot sooner than not if we get it done. So, anyway. Magistrate Woosley.
I think I'm going to add to what you just said is when we have an incident on 71, this bypass is going to be heavily used for those traffics that's going to be going from Crestwood to LaGrange. So they're going to cut right through there and save a lot of that tie-up in the Crestwood area there. So I approve it.
Can I rebuttal that, please?
Okay, sure.
And if that's true, then every time we have a tie-up on 71 here, then those cars don't get off and drive all over LaGrange. I'm not trying to make this as an either-or. This is a Crestwood issue, the same as other things are LaGrange issues. We shouldn't be involved in LaGrange issues no more than we should be involved in Crestwood's issues. And it's easy to say when all of a sudden we're only talking about 32,000, but now by the time we get everything done, it's going to be in excess of $400,000 and probably $500,000. I have a lot of difficulty in the way it's been presented to us, number one. And number two is Crestwood needs to step up and do their share of the county. And that would be this. And LaGrange has to step up and do their share. I'm not picking on them. I'm just saying do your share. And I think this is in the middle of their community, just like anything else would be in the middle of LaGrange. LaGrange should do their part, not us go in and do everybody else's part.
Magistrate Jeffries.
Magistrate Tyson, I hate to disagree with you, but I think that Crestwood and LaGrange and Pee Wee Valley and Goshen or whatever are part of Oldham County, and I think that these kind of projects that we can come together on and improve traffic in Crestwood, it's going to improve traffic for Oldham County in general. Not, and I don't want to see us split up, and go into this talking about Crestwood versus LaGrange versus, and I think this is Oldham County, and we've got some traffic issues especially around the schools. So I think when we have projects that have been put together with KIPTA and support from our legislators and David Osborne and that kind of thing, I think we need to be try to get this come together and get this done for the betterment of Oldham County. That's all I'll say.
Right, and we're not suggesting here building a road in the subdivision. We're suggesting creating relief at a very high traffic location. And I think the idea about when we have an accident on the interstate, people spilling off everywhere, this would help us. Where we don't have that many opportunities actually to create relief. So when we get one, we need to take it. I think it'd be great if Crestwood could step up and do it all itself, but I won't say they have chosen not to. I'll just say that we've offered to move it along to get it done, and I think leadership calls for us to move forward on this, in my mind. Magistrate Towns.
Magistrate Hawkins was before me, Judge.
Well, I called on you, though.
Okay. Well, I know about it. She had her hand up first. I just was trying to be respectful there. First off, this road isn't going to fix the problem.
Mm-mm.
You're talking about adding another intersection to already an overused roadway. If we think it's going to take traffic and spin it down around, get into Kenwood, okay, fine. But we're already adding a light, which is going to slow down traffic between 146 and I-71. There's a light that's being added that hasn't been turned on, that's been sitting there for 2 or 3 months waiting on. That's going to slow down traffic because you're going to open the opportunity then for people to pull out. I get it. The school buses having to come through there. I travel that road. I understand it. But I struggle that this road is really going to add additional relief to the area of Crestwood. The people that are going, they're going to take that as a cut through. It's not going to be, you still got the same number of cars coming down LaGrange Road. You're going to parse them off to the right. I guess that's going to be if you're coming down LaGrange Road going into Crestwood. And the way I read this, I guess I just don't understand where the relief's going to come in. If we're going to look at projects, when I look at this list, Jim, you're right. It was in the budget. It's in the budget for $365,000. As the judge makes comments about the budget and others, it's a plan. Just because it's in the budget doesn't mean we're going to spend it. We put stuff in the budget that we have great intentions on getting done, and they don't get done. So it's a plan. Just because it's in the budget doesn't mean that we approve the expenditure. That's why you're here today to ask this. I guess, and I've talked to Mayor Kramer, not about this situation, but when I look at the grand plan and all the stuff that Crestwood has to do, Judge, I appreciate the offer that you made to help Crestwood with this, but I don't think Crestwood is broke. I get it that they do pay county taxes, the residents of Crestwood. But again, I guess we'd be having the same conversation if this were LaGrange. I don't know. But again, it just seems like it's a Crestwood project. We're already, if we, the court, spend zero money on this, in other words, we don't support financially the project, we still got Belinda's time, we still got Jim's time, we still got Jim's time they're going to be involved in this, which is going to be money that we're out, whether Crestwood pays for all of it or none of it. Because Jim, as you said, I don't what to put the term, we're the LA, or what did you call it?
LPA, local.
Sorry, LPA.
Local public agency.
Thank you. We're still having to administer, I guess is the term to use. I don't know what the proper term is. So we still have dollars expended. To the judge's point being Crestwood residents paying into the county, they're still getting a share because of Jim's time, Belinda's time, Jim's time, and whoever else is going to be involved with this in the county. So they are getting a share. But because it's in the city of Crestwood, I think Crestwood should pay for it.
Magistrate Hawkins.
I'd like to also rebut the argument that Magistrate Tice rebutted for Magistrate Woosley. When you come off of the 329 bypass and you go past Kenwood Station on your right, and then you were to turn and end up there at Stockyards Bank, if you're trying to turn left to go to LaGrange, all that's done is bottlenecked everybody there, and now you have somebody or a line of cars, a slew, trying to take a left onto 146 to get over the traffic coming toward Crestwood from LaGrange. Can't see. I mean, that's going to cause multiple accidents. I can foresee it. So I don't
You
think
don't
it would
think
help.
there'll be a light there?
Great, add another light. That's just going to slow it down even more.
So I don't think it would help with traffic. I think it would increase the bottlenecking and possibly incidences.
Magistrate Logston.
Yes, Judge. I beg the difference with Magistrate Hounds. I've watched this for years and years and years. Traffic's backed sometimes all the way up to the old Beards implement station. And all you're trying to do is go to McDonald's and turn and go towards 71. So you're trapped right there. You can't go anywhere. And it might take 15 minutes to get through that light to be able to just get to 71. I disagree. This will help traffic flow. I've watched it many a times. There will be a light right there, I'm sure, at Stockyards Bank. There's no way they could not have one. You've got one at the other end on 329 in Kenwood now. All they're waiting for is a electrical easement from Walmart to be able to put the electric to the light to be turned on. So you're not going to be slowing up traffic there. You're going to be using traffic signals. But it is very much needed right there. So I'm a vote for it.
All right, I don't see any more hands. We have a motion on the floor to approve of moving forward with this. Because there's been a fairly vigorous discussion here, we'll have a roll call vote, please.
Magistrate Jeffries.
Yes.
Magistrate Logston.
Yes.
Magistrate Likens.
Yes.
Oh, there it is.
Magistrate Hounds.
No.
Magistrate Tice.
No.
Magistrate Woosley.
Yes.
Magistrate Hawkins.
No.
Magistrate Dye.
No.
Judge Vogel.
It's split.
4-4. Yes. Okay. Motion carries. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the jail. We've done jail, and now we're down to road committee. Magistrate Jeffries. Oops.
That's okay.
Okay. Were you going to do that?
No, this is
yeah.
the recommendation for the bond release for Reserves de l'Esprit Section 2.
Okay. Go ahead.
So what you have before you is a recommendation to release the bond for Reserves de l'Esprit Section 2, and this is the performance surety. And I will say this is a unique one in that we're requesting that it be released and actually replaced by a one-year warranty bond. Keep in mind, this is in the city of LaGrange. The City of LaGrange Road Committee has approved this, and our Oldham County Road Committee has approved this. And the other unique aspect is the reason it's being replaced by a warranty bond for 1 year is because the final surface lift was placed prior to a final inspection of the base, and so neither myself or Corey Rusnick, the Director of Public Works in LaGrange, felt that it was appropriate to release the bond yet. The developer, Elite Homes, wants to needs the bond released because it's in the name of a previous developer, Turtle Creek Investments. So again, this is to release the bond, but it will be replaced with a 1-year warranty bond.
And Judge, as he said, the road committee did recommend that we approve this.
All right.
And I'll move that.
Moved and seconded, all right. And any discussion on it? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries, thank you. Next one, Jim.
Yes, and so next we have I'm requesting a release of the performance bond for Judge Carden Boulevard. Judge Carden Boulevard is the road that was built. It leads back to the Crestwood Luxury Apartments, north of 71 from 329. That road has been constructed in accordance with current regulations and the approved plans. So I request that the bond that's in the amount of $72,719.40 be released.
Judge, as this one also, I'll move that we approve it. The road committee recommended approval, and so I will move that we approve this bond release.
All right.
Second.
Second, all right, move the motion. And where is Judge Carden
Discussion.
Boulevard?
So again, it's just north of the American Mini Storage at the northeast quadrant of 71 and 329.
It's in Brownsboro, Judge.
Pardon?
Brownsboro.
I mean, is it the entrance to the apartment complex?
That's
there?
correct.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
That's correct.
Okay.
And as such, we won't need another motion to take the roads into the county road maintenance system because they are in the city of Crestwood, or it is in the city of Crestwood.
I assume Judge Carden is related to Stephen Edwards somewhere? I don't know.
I think so.
I've never heard of
Actually,
Judge
don't know
Carden.
where the
in
name
Oldham
came
County.
from.
Yeah, I think it's right.
Okay. Magistrate Woosley.
I just want to point out there's a typo on this letter before you get sent out.
Okay.
In the dollar amount number, you've got
Oh, yeah.
72,719.40.00.
Oh, you're correct. There's an additional .00. Thank you.
All right, we've got a motion. Magistrate Hawkins.
So, Jim, going back a couple weeks to the Crestwood public meeting at the Crestwood Baptist Church. Were you there? This was the
Oh, I was
chlor
not.
station.
For the
Okay.
chlor station, I was not.
So there were complaints about the lighting that was promised versus the lighting that's there from these apartments. And so I'm wondering how releasing this bond would, what that has to do with the lighting, if anything, if that lighting will be or was approved as we release this, because apparently what was promised is not
Well, are you speaking
necessarily
of
what's
lighting
there.
of the apartments themselves, like structural lighting, or are you speaking of street lighting, like roadway lighting?
Well, the complaints came from the adjacent, the farms specifically behind there. And the complaint was that when it was initially zoned or changed for those apartments, that the lighting was one thing, but then what ended up constructed was something different.
Yeah, so this doesn't have anything to do with
This
the
doesn't have anything
apartments
to do-
lighting. It doesn't. This is the roadway only.
Does this have to do with the street lights on that road?
There are none.
There are none. Okay.
That's correct.
Okay.
We've received concerns that it's too dark. That would ultimately change as the area is developed with commercial property. But it doesn't have anything to do with the apartment lighting.
Okay. Thank you.
If I just chime in here, what she's talking about in the lighting, that would have been taken care of in your binding elements portion of the development plan. What kind of lighting they would have had,
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
Yeah, but then the binding elements are assured when you all go out and inspect, right?
I can check with planning and development and see what was approved for the building itself. But again, this is for the roadway that approaches that apartment complex, not the apartment complex.
Okay, thank you.
All right, I think we've got a motion and a second there on this request. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. All right. Now we're at the HR committee. Discuss the 2024 benefits renewal package. And
Judge, the Human Resources have reviewed this, and we've given our acceptance to it. Tina will come up and explain it, and then we'll take a vote on it.
okay,
Jim is tall.
How much more is it going to cost?
All right, good afternoon. Before you all this afternoon is the renewal for 2024 on the medical, vision, dental, all of our plans that we offer to the full-time employees. So we put this out to bid, about 6 weeks ago, 8 weeks ago, and we got quotes from United Healthcare, Cigna, and Anthem. So you guys have those in your packets. And the recommendation from the HR committee was to go ahead and go with United Healthcare. We did get an increase of 9.91%. Initially, it came in at 12.73, but with some negotiating and some bundling of the vision and the dental, we got a quote back of 9.91. The plan is to go forward with the same contribution strategy as far as the employer contributions to the premiums. So the county is absorbing the increase. Same contribution for the health savings account, except for the Go 365. There is no more Go 365, so there will be no silver status bonuses given because there's no more Go 365. But there is a wellness program through United Healthcare, and they, as the carrier, they are giving a wellness bonus that will not be paid for by the county. They're offering it to the employees, $1,000 for employee, and then $1,000 for covered spouses if they reach the wellness statuses that they, or those steps, complete those steps that they ask them to do. So that was something that we got an upgrade on UHC offered for us to come to them. They usually have a $300 plan that they give, but they gave us the upgrade of $1,000 for each employee and covered spouse. Other than that, everything else is staying the same. The dental and the vision, the dental did go down premium-wise, and the vision as well, actually. So there's a lot of information that I gave to you all. I'm not sure exactly what you have questions on, but I can answer them, hopefully.
So Judge, you want me to make the recommendation and then ask questions, or how do you want to do that?
Yes.
Judge, I'd like to make a motion that we accept the benefits renewal package for 2024 as presented and to allow you to sign all the paperwork related to the renewal.
Second.
All right, discussion now. Anybody have questions about this package?
Need a second?
I think
Second.
I think we had one down here.
I have a question.
Okay, that should die.
Tina, does this mean that we're going to have to go through one of those long, arduous filling out all that information that we filled out before? It's not transferable from our, you know how they ask you 1,000 questions in the beginning, like they did with.
Oh, the health risk assessment?
Yeah.
It's not really 1,000 questions. It's just a few, and it takes 10 minutes.
That might be a bit facetious.
It takes 10 minutes, yeah. It is, yes. They do ask that it's similar, yes. So it's a health risk assessment. They want to know, how much do you exercise and how many vegetables do you eat a day? They're trying to come up with a wellness strategy for you throughout the year. So as you obtain those goals, then you're going to get those points and then earn that money. So yes, you will.
And then a new card at the doctor and dentist.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
they'll make you fill out all those stupid long forms.
Mm-hmm. Long forms? No long forms.
Mine does.
You have special.
Well, I hope
doctors.
not. Yeah.
All right. Sound like y'all did a good job.
Thanks.
All right, Magistrate Jeffries.
I think this, we were pleasantly surprised on the Human Resources Committee that we came in, we were thinking there was going to be quite a bit more percentage increase in the cost. But I think, UHC, kind of came together and with our broker and I think did a good job of putting this together. I guess my question would be is the process to, if this is approved today, then what's the timeline to get folks, signed up and get them transitioned from Humana to the new program? Or
It'll be the same as every year. Every year we have open enrollment, so we would just do the same thing. It'll be mandatory meetings this year, so everyone understands the plan and how it's set up. Online enrollment, it's pretty easy. Same situation. We start the enrollment process. I think we're trying to open the window October 16th. And have it finished and closed like the week before Thanksgiving. So the new deductions start coming out of paychecks and show up on the earnings side as well in December for January's coverage.
Okay.
So,
And the HSAs and stuff, that's still available if people want to?
yes, we are going to actually, Humana is going to have, we'll have a one form process to where we're going to transfer all the monies from UMB or Humana Access, where we currently are. And we're going to transfer them over to UHC's bank, or not their bank, but who they use for their health savings account, and it's a Visa as well. It's either or, so you don't even have to have an HSA. You can actually, that's the other thing, is that if you don't have it, you're not eligible for an HSA account, you can still get the $1,000. You're just going to get it on a Visa card. So that's through Optum Bank. So it's a one-time move everybody over. So everyone's going to get new cards for everything.
Okay, thank you.
Magistrate Hawkins.
Can a person choose their own HSA bank?
No, not HSA Bank. No.
Okay.
Not for this. It's tied to our medical plan.
Okay.
And Magistrate Hounds.
I guess this is probably a foregone conclusion, but I know we talked about this, that we'll be able to use our same doctors that we're using today. There's not going to be a change necessarily, maybe in specialties, right?
I don't want to go say that every doctor is going to be in
That's what I
their
said, but the
network, but
specialties,
yeah.
I thought when I asked you this question before, you may have to get a new exception for those, but most of our primary care is just going to fill out new forms. It's Magistrate dies, the long form.
The long form. Mhm.
Yes.
Yes, the long form. So, I mean, that's going to be the case on not only just even if you stay with the same carrier, sometimes things change as far as they don't want to take that insurance anymore. Or they're not in the network anymore. So I say everyone should every year check to make sure their doctor is still in the network and that their drug is going to cost them what they thought it was, what it was last year. Any kind of pre-authorizations that might be needed, everyone's going to have to go through that process this next year. It might be a little bit different than what people are used to. We've been with Humana forever, so.
And then the $1,000, that goes into HSA, that's not cash to the employee?
The employee decides which way they would like that money given, and they can do half and half. So there's on their site, they can go to the Optum Bank site or wherever they're going to see you've earned $500. They can either choose to have it put in an HSA account or choose to have it on a Visa, a prepaid Visa, or not a prepaid Visa, but a Visa that's theirs.
Okay.
And I mean, that's taxable though. It doesn't get the tax benefits as an HSA. So we will have to run a report at the end of the year, and that will be on the W-2. So it is taxable. That's the difference between those two things. But it is a benefit. I mean, it is the employees that do not normally have access to or eligible for an HSA can still get that wellness credit.
I mean, I know we tend to have quite a few healthy employees. I mean, I was picking on you the other day about producing the list, and
because you think you're the star of the list this year.
No, I'm not going to be a star.
Yeah.
But, but no, the point is, though, is that is kind of cool when you look at that. You see all the people that are actually getting their steps and their exercise and following the regiments of the healthy lifestyle.
And there are some things, like right now we're just trying to work on getting the health plan squared away, that we still have some time that if we wanted to look at a platform for wellness, we could still incorporate it. We're still looking at that. There's a couple options out there. But the UHC items that it still has you connected device and all those things. And so there are still, it's pretty much the same, not as extensive as the Go365 app, but
Thank
there
you.
are some things.
Magistrate Hawkins.
Tina and I have had this discussion before about, and Tina, you could maybe elaborate a little bit about having a county-wide physician and what that would look like. It would be very alternative, but it may be less money for each person when they have to pay for their family to have sort of a county-wide physician or a physician that sees in Oldham County that sees the county employees. And I wonder, so I'm just kind of saying it out loud, how much interest there would be in pursuing something like that. So I can mention the doctor's name that does that. But
there could be lots of interest. There's all kinds of ways once you start self-funding and going in that direction.
Yeah.
We didn't do that this year. We haven't. But we can always look going forward on on-site clinics, direct primary care, those types of things. We can look always, but right now I think we were just worried with Humana exiting and
Right.
other carriers coming on. We were trying to find something comparable with our claims experience. The last 2 years have not been very good. So we were
Oh.
really just wanting to get something locked in for this next year, so we weren't.
So just the medical, could you tell us what the, how much out of each, or how much out of a paycheck that would be for, say, a family coverage?
For a family, out of a
Just the-
paycheck? Out
Yeah,
of each
because-
paycheck?
Yep, because we cover the employee, but say somebody has their spouse and children, so the
It's
whole family.
$244 pay period.
Okay. Still, that's not changing. Okay.
Nope, it is not.
All right, anyone else there? So we have a motion on the floor and a second to move January 1st to United Healthcare from Humana, maintaining the same employee health reimbursement arrangement that we have right now. So all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
Now we're up to personnel actions here, and Tina, you can continue on with those.
Sure, we have Parks and Rec, we have a new hire, building monitor Shelby Shackelford at $10 an hour effective tomorrow.
All in favor, please say aye.
We need a first and a second.
Need a motion? Do we need a motion to hire him? All right, I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right.
You want me to, okay, then there's dispatch, we have a new hire, Tamiko Coates, as a telecommunicator 2. She's coming in as a 5-year lateral, $28.24 an hour, and that's effective on the 8th. She's coming to us, she retired from MetroSafe, and then she worked a couple years at University of Louisville.
Judge, I'll make that motion.
Okay. All right, is there a second? Somebody, did you second? All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Okay, and then the last one is a promotion at the police department. Sergeant Scott Wolf is being promoted to the administrative major at $98,971.44 base annual salary effective tomorrow.
Judge, I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All right, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. All right.
Thank you.
Now we're up to board appointments, and to the Planning and Zoning Commission, I'd like to appoint Rollo Fox to the commission with a term to expire 9/5 of '27. Many of you know Rollo. He lives in L'Esprit and with the 40-acre farm there with his wife. And Rollo is a former founder and owner president of PUI Incorporated here in LaGrange. I've forgotten that it was Parts Unlimited. I'm sorry. Couldn't remember that on Interior Way. And he's been an active member of the community and involved in the Free Property Owners Association and the Humane Society of Oldham County. So Pardon?
I'll make the motion.
All right. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. All right. Discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. We got two out. Did we have two opposed?
Sounds like it.
Pardon? Just one?
Two.
Pardon? Okay. Magistrate Dye, Magistrate Likens. All right, thank you. Next up, I'd like to reappoint Ann Brown to the Ethics Commission for a term to expire 10/18 of '26. Of course, Ann.
So moved.
Second.
All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right, now we're up to the final public comment. I see no commenters here, so we'll go on and close the meeting. See if we have any final thoughts. Magistrate Logston?
Nothing, Judge.
Magistrate Dye?
Yes, thank you, Judge. If you are watching this, hopefully that you are, if you have a pencil close by, the Kentucky Department, the Transportation Cabinet, on September the 19th from 6 to 7, they're going to have a virtual meeting. And you can get this, you saw this, didn't you, Judge, where they're talking about the expansion of the next section of 71? You got that letter, didn't you?
No, I don't think I did. Did I get that letter? No, I haven't seen it.
Okay, well, the next expansion of section of I-71 is going to start at the intersection of 71 and 329. That's the Crestwood Pee Wee Valley exit, and they're going to, this is the public meeting, take it all the way up to Kentucky 393.
What day is that?
It's September the 19th, 6 to 7 p.m. There's a virtual meeting. They actually gave me the little thing on the back. I can give you a copy of this, Judge, or you can put it on.
Okay.
We'll put it on the county website. So for those of you that live in that section, having had the initial section of 71 from the Jefferson County line to 329, that's mostly in my district. I would suggest that some of the people probably in my district wish they would have known and know what they were in for, as far as a lot of type of work that they did. They did a lot of blasting. They're still doing blasting, in fact. So you may want to find out exactly what you're getting, and and not that you're going to change it, but this is the progression of I-71. So this is the beginning part of it. So.
What else can you do?
They've done some roads. They've left a section out and come back and got it. But anyway, I'll get you a copy of this,
Thank
Judge.
you. Thank you. Magistrate Hawkins.
Nothing today, Judge. Thank you.
Okay, Magistrate Hounds.
Yes, thank you, Judge. I know everybody's not on Facebook, and that's fine. Some days I don't know why I am myself, but the Oldham County Health Department has put out a Step-tember, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. It's a movement to get people to get their walking in or running. I started on September the 1st, and I'll try to get this information. Maybe we can put this on one of our signs or put it on our Facebook page. I know it's been on our Facebook page, but maybe we can put it on the county website. They're calling for all community leaders, community members to get moving during the month of September. It's an annual county walk challenge. I know before COVID, we did this walk through John Black, the community center, and Judge, I know you were there. We all got these pedometers, and I know Bob Magistrate Dye and I walked. We got to the end, and we had discrepancies about the number of steps that we took, and we found out that those things probably weren't very accurate. But anyway, we still got our walking in, and we did a community number of steps, if I remember correctly. But it seems like a great opportunity. The weather's cooling off, hopefully this week, and you can get out and get your steps in. It goes back to, I think, and Judge, you would know this, or I'll pick on Magistrate Tice because he's been around for a long time, how many years in a row we've gotten that healthy initiative from the state. It's been several years. I know most of the years I've been on court.
Robert Wood Foundation and University of Wisconsin.
Yep. That's it's not for lack of effort.
Right.
And this is just another step to help us achieve that same goal.
Now, when is this again?
It's the whole month of September.
September, okay.
So
Well, we can, if you'll give Tara something, we'll put it on our signs too.
It's on the sign.
Oh, it's on there, okay. Good.
That's
Well,
all,
good,
thank
you're
you.
right. I mean, let's keep walking. Yeah, that's, anything else?
Well, you'll have that new knee.
Well, that's moving to next month. Had an adjustment today here to make a change. All right, Magistrate Jeffries.
Yes, the only thing, Bob Dye took most of my thunder on I was going to announce about the 71 Zoom meeting, but that's good. Got that.
I apologize.
No, that's all right. No, the only thing I have is Blakemore Lane. We thought we were going to have a road closure out there to get a gas line across the road, but evidently there was a little mix-up with LG&E, and so they've got the project done and did not have to close Blakemore Lane. So we should be good out there. That's not going to happen.
All right, great.
That's all I have.
Thank you. Magistrate Woosley.
That's the only thing I want to bring up. I want to recognize and honor the life of two longtime Oldham Countyans that passed away recently. Horace Herod passed away on August 19th. He was 105, and we've had him here several times to recognize him. The other one was Harold Smith, who died August 15th at 86. Harold's been a longtime contributor and supporter of lots of nonprofits around the county, and I just wanted to recognize both of those individuals. That's all I got, sir.
All right, thank you. Magistrate Tice.
Nothing, Judge. Thank you.
Okay, Magistrate Likens. Nothing, Judge. All right. Tara is going to send you a sheet, or you come down to the office and get it too, that has our current information on our Oldham County digital signs that we have out there. And if you'd had this, I wouldn't be able to announce it because some of you would have beaten me to this. But we're having a silent disco at City Place on September 9th to benefit veterans in the county. On the September 9th, there'll also be at 11 in the morning a 911 remembrance of the tragedy in New York, but that'll be at Veterans Memorial Park on September 9th at 11 o'clock. We have free tire disposal coming up at the State Highway Garage and on 3 different dates in September. That's on our sign. And there's a kids fishing derby that is coming up on September 16th at the Eagle Creek Golf Course. It's a free event for fun, and rods and live bait will be made available. I've forgotten who told me this now, but actually their child is on a fishing team. Might be at Oldham County High School. Somewhere, somebody told me their kid's on a fishing team, and they go out to Lake Jericho. And I had no idea there'd be such a thing as a fishing team. But yeah.
They do. It's real active. It's real active.
Yeah, that's what I understand. I was really surprised. And just an early warning here, a month from now on October 7th, that's a Saturday, I'm sure, we'll be having our household hazardous waste collection event at the Oldham County Road Department on Quality Place. That we have that every year, and we pick up a ton of stuff that is supposed to be disposed of properly and not just slipped away somehow. So, all right, we've had a pretty busy day today. The meeting's going on for almost 2 hours. I'm sure everybody's ready to stand up. So, is there a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.